There is a higher bar than may have been expected for proof in the Alex Murdaugh upcoming evidentiary hearing. They'll decide whether or not he will get a new trial. That high burden of proof, the former South Carolina Supreme Court Justice Jean Toll is working with and overseeing the pretrial, set the burden as they must prove that the court or the clerk of court tampered, we're talking about Becky Hill here, tampered with the jury and did so with prejudice against Murdaugh. That is what the burden of proof is. There's a lot of other elements in this case, a lot of elements of Becky Hill's credibility, which may not make it into the actual hearing itself and weigh on the judge's decision. But a lot of that's still kind of up in the air from what we've learned the other day with the pre-evidentiary hearing. Shavaun Scott, psychotherapist and author, joining us to discuss. What do you think about all of this after that initial hearing the other day and Alex Murdaugh making his way into court, seemingly kind of hopeful and jovial, it seemed at the beginning, and by the end, I think that smile kind of turned the other way.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. It's sort of what I would have anticipated, but who knew, right? Who
Mhm.
knew?
It's a shocking case. The judge ruling that Hill must testify, but the scope of her testimony will be limited to specifically the jury tampering allegations that had taken place. The scary part about that for her, though, is self-incriminating because she does have two active SLED investigations going on against her. One with the jury tampering, the other with misuse of her office. How inclined do you think she's going to be to testify as open and honestly as she needs to be in this?
She's got to be shaking in her boots right now. Very high risk situation for her. Um, uh, how honest she's going to be? I would think that she's certainly going to color things,
Mhm.
and that would make perfect sense that she's going to try to minimize her behavior.
When we're talking about looking back on the jury deliberations, number one, they're basically saying, okay, we have to base this off of memory, off of emotion. What did you feel? Did you feel as though she influenced you? That had an impact on your decision. Human memory's not always the greatest in terms of recalling it in a super accurate way, and then to go back and have to really again base this on emotion. It's hard to litigate emotion and say that yes, you're stating this to me did not or did have an effect on my decision. How well do you think the jurors are going to handle that when that is presented? I know most of them not going to be testifying, but if privately asked and that to be brought into this as part of the arguments, uh, is that something where there's more doubt comes in? Do memories change? Could that possibly become an issue if you have all these that say it didn't happen, but you do have a couple that say, yeah, there was some sort of impact here?
I think you nailed it. It's really impossible to for any of us to fully assess how much subtle things in the environment influence our perceptions.
Mhm.
We're influenced by subtleties all the time. Things that happen that we're not even aware of influence us. Facial expressions, the way that people dress, their appearance, all these things have a lot to do with our perceptions and how we perceive things. And just because we say, "Oh, well, that didn't influence me," that doesn't mean that it didn't,
Mhm.
you know?
And so,
So
yeah,
I think you're right with that. It's gonna be really tough for people to be able to accurately assess themselves.
we did have, as far as we know, there is sworn affidavits from some of the jurors. One I know that was dismissed that do state that yes, something was said, and I believe that the defense of Alec Murdaugh is going to be bringing that to light here when this goes to that hearing. How, again, everyone's human, and I keep bringing this point up, so I'm curious to get your perspective on this. Um, there is more to this than I think just telling the truth. Here's what happened. I mean, I want them to tell the truth, and hopefully they are stating factually what happened. But now that we're getting closer and closer to this actual moment happening in court and potentially sinking the verdict in the Alex Murdaugh trial, uh, I'd imagine there's some financial gain to be had if you're the juror that does that. Um, if it did happen, it's your story to tell. It's your story to, and if there is financial gain to write a book or do something, it's all for you. I mean, that you went through this happened, and that's your right. But being human again, is there also some incentive to maybe, I don't know, pad the truth a little bit, maybe make it a little more dramatic than it actually was, for that gained attention and the potential windfall that I would imagine that individual will have, if they do, in fact, testify that Becky did, in fact, influence their decision, and what that could mean for the Alec Murdaugh situation.
Yeah, that's certainly possible. It seems like everybody's got a book deal here,
Yeah.
about everything.
Yeah.
Everybody's got a book deal. So that's certainly possible. We'd like to think that the jury system is, ideally unbiased,
Hmm.
uh, panel of your peers. Everybody's got an open mind, but I don't think that's the human way. I don't think we're really wired to be that unbiased. We simply perceive things, we're all influenced, and there are so many subtle things that happen that we're not even aware of.
Yeah.
It's hard.
And at the end of the day, it's impossible to know the answers to those questions. I mean, we're talking about the allegations of Becky Hill being a very flawed individual with many
Yep.
things that we're looking at. We're talking about Alec Murdaugh, the crux of the whole case, being a very flawed individual. And then, okay, what happened with the jury? Is this going to be a flawed decision as well, or flawed testimony? And I know nothing about the juror, so I'm in no way implying
Yeah.
that they're trying to be fraudulent or anything. That I don't even know. I know nothing about them, just speculating on how human behavior may affect what's going to happen for other motives other than just solely finding justice and being accurate with it.
Yeah. Very true.
Hey, it's Tony Brueski. If you like the podcast, be sure to like, subscribe, and press that bell so you don't miss any of our updates on the cases we're following for you right here at the Hidden Killers podcast from True Crime Today. And thanks